Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining us tonight. So for tonight's practice, we are going to be kind of playing with counterposing quite a bit, at least in the sense of the overall scope of our practice. Of course, whenever we're moving through any kind of practice, we're either aiming to achieve a specific goal, maybe we want to be energized, maybe we want to calm down and quiet down before we go to bed at night, or we're just looking for a balanced overall practice to really hit on all the different areas of the body. Regardless of what you're aiming for, the way you sequence your postures and the type of postures that you use in relationship to each other will have a very specific outcome. So for tonight's practice, we're really going to be playing with 3 general counter poses. So we'll be beginning tonight with core cultivation, waking up a lot of strength and stability through the abdominal wall. Okay, from there, because this involves a lot of flexion or a lot of forward folding, we're going to counterpose or reverse directions with a lot of heart opening, moving into our back bends. And then, of course, to wrap everything up at the end of the practice, traditional counterposing for your back bends will then be forward folding or hip openers. So we'll really try to hit on some of these major families while aiming to achieve an overall kind of whole body harmony. Now that I did mention we are going to be moving into back bending really through the core of the practice, I want to detail what props will be required, or at least helpful in this case. So for tonight, when we arrive at camel posture specifically, Amber is going to be demonstrating the pose with 2 blocks. But for some of us, back bending and camel posture in particular may not be a pose that we're ready to come into in its fullest expression. So the modification and the prop that I would suggest for tonight, especially if you know that the spine tends to be a little less mobile in back bending, is simply a chair. And when we arrive at camel posture, what we'll be able to do is tuck our ankles in between the first legs. And then, once we move from hands to hips, the hands can reach back for the seat of your chair, or you can eventually begin walking your hands down the legs of the chair to bring you into a deeper expression of the posture, and then walk your way back up to lift. So if you're in a place tonight where you think that it might be nice to have that extra prop, then go ahead and grab a chair from somewhere in your house, and you can just leave it at the back of your mat. Now, as far as our core work is concerned, if you're on a very hardwood floor like us, probably a good idea to take just 1 bath towel, lay it down in the middle of your mat when it does come time for the core work to give yourself a little extra cushioning. But of course, we want to be cautious that we don't have too much cushioning. So if you're already on a thick carpet, you might even want to hop off of your mat when that time comes. So we have a firm but not hard surface, firm but not squishy. All right. All of that out of the way, we are going to begin with just a couple traditional sun salutations to integrate the mind and the body, and then from there, we'll continue on into the fun stuff. So let's all come up to the top of our mats, beginning in equal standing posture. So we are going to take a little extra time today paying attention to how the hips are aligned. And in mountain pose or equal standing posture, we want to feel as though we're anchoring from our hips into our foundation. So just go ahead and lay your right hand over your lower belly so that your thumb is just beneath your belly button. Spread your fingers out wide to really cover the lower abdomen. Take your left hand, bring it around behind you, and place the heel of your hand at the top of your sacrum so your fingertips point down toward your tailbone. Now, rocking the pelvis, push your left hand down and draw your right hand in and up. Keep the pelvis tilted this way, and then straighten your legs a little more, pushing straight through the feet. Arms by your sides. Keeping the tailbone anchored into the earth, the front of the pelvis lifting in and up. As we inhale, very slow, start to circle your arms out and up overhead, lifting your gaze toward your thumbs. With your exhalation, slow fold. Bend your knees however much you need to bring your thumbs down to the mat. Soften the neck, loosen the head. We'll take a breath to bring as much length into the spine as possible, lift halfway. And then as you exhale, step your way back into your plank position, lowering either knees, chest, chin, or straight as a board, chaturanga. So cobra or upward facing dog, whatever back bend feels best now. Roll over your toes to downward dog. Take your feet about 2 inches closer to your hands And now let's check in with the alignment of your upper body. So pushing down squarely through all four corners of each hand. Index finger knuckles, thumb mound, pinky finger knuckle, and the outer heel of the hand. Now, as you spread the weight uniformly through those four corners, try to open your shoulders across your upper back, widening them away from the spine for one last exhale, the heart melting toward the thighs, and with your inhale, up we go. Lengthen your spine once you've arrived at the top of the mat, and then folding your way down, keep your toes soft. All the way up. Inhale, lift the arms into the sky, anchor your shoulders, arms by your sides, remember the pelvis, lower belly, in and out. Inhale, arms overhead, gaze the thumbs. Hinging all the way down to your forward fold, soften the neck. Inhale, halfway. Pull your hips away from your heart, and then step or hop your way back from plank position lower. Keep your elbows super close. If you're finding your way into upward dog, pushing the arms straight. Exhale, roll over your toes, downward dog. Step those feet in just a little bit closer. So quality breathing, deep inhalations, long exhalations. Squarely grounding through the four corners of the hands as shoulders not only widen away from your spine, but the arm bones plug into the body, reaching down the sides of the waist into the hips. Heart melting toward thighs, last exhale. And then with your inhale, travel to the top of the mat, lengthening the spine with that same breath, melt down, head to knees. Inhale your way up, sweeping the arms to sky, gaze high. Equal standing, arms by your side. So just one more time. Inhale, lift it up, look to thumbs. Folding all the way down, pull your hips way back. Halfway up, stretch the heart forward, bend your knees, plant your palms, back you go. Reach through the heels if you're lowering straight as a board, and then inhale, fill the tops of your lungs up fully. Rolling over your toes, downward facing dog. So the feet step in just that tiny bit closer. Finding all those little components of the upper body. And then drawing hips back a little further for 3. Knees and thighs lifting for 2. Linger till the absolute end of your exhale, and then looking forward, step or lightly hop to the top. Lengthen your spine out once you've arrived. Melt your way down, head to knees. Then rise on up, sweep your arms into the sky, gaze high. Arms back by your sides. Pause for one breath cycle in and out. Resist the temptation to fidget, as strong as it may be. Now we'll travel to our back. So essentially, Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, lift. Fold your way down, head to legs. Lengthen the spine, pull the heart forward, step or hop back. Glue the shoulder blades into your upper back, lowering with control. Inhale, pull the heart forward, away from your hips. Exhale, rolling over the toes. Now transitioning to our backs, looking up between your hands, take the weight forward as you bend your knees, step or lightly hop to sit, and then roll down onto your spine, bring your knees in for a hug. Good, so we'll begin stretching the legs out long upon the floor, first with the arms by your sides. Feel that you're making contact through the backs of your heels, hips, shoulders, and the back of your skull. Now, much like we would in mountain posture, Tadasana, draw your tailbone at the back of the hips down in the direction of your heels, while you feel the front of the hips, hip bone to hip bone, moving in and up toward your heart. Okay, this is going to help us to keep our low back close, if not glued to the earth, in our leglets. So bending both knees in toward your chest, one little squeeze. Send the 2 legs now up into the sky. Okay, placing the arms by your sides, palms down, press the shoulder blades back into the earth, relax your neck. So you're only lowering your legs as far as you're able to keep your back grounded. Inhale, eyes on the ceiling. Exhale, push your belly button down into the earth. Right leg only, lowering for 3 with an inhale. 2, about halfway. 1, now just as slow, exhale up for 3. 2, 1. Inhale, left leg for 3. 2, 1. Exhale, rise. 3, 2, 1. Now keep your breath slow. Inhale, right leg lowers for the duration of the in-breath. Exhale, right leg lifts. Inhalation, left leg only lowers as far as the back remains connected. Exhale, navel to earth. Inhalation, reaching through your toes while keeping them in an upward facing position. Exhale, rise. As the left leg lowers with the inhalation, right at that edge before you change, keep the back of the hips soft. Exhale, navel to spine. Right leg, inhale, lowering. Exhale, lifting. Good. Keep your face relaxed. Left leg, inhale. Eyes are still, calmly gazing to the ceiling. One more round, both sides. Right leg, slow duration. Exhale. Left leg, slow duration. Exhale. Bend both of your knees, reach around your shins, give yourself a hug. Now as we shift into both legs lowering simultaneously, you are not going to be able to lower them quite as far. So pay close attention to your low back. If you're letting your low back arch off of the earth, you're going to be compromising your spine and you're not actually going to strengthen the muscles we're aiming to. So legs back up into the sky, arms by your side, stage 1. Stage 2, if you're feeling really strong tonight, you can bring your fingertips to the base of your skull. In breath. Exhale, navel to spine. Inhale, slowly lowering both legs, only keeping them as straight as you're comfortable. Exhale, navel presses back, slowly rise. Inhale, long breath. Try to aim for about 3 seconds. Exhale, lift. As you inhale and lower your legs, if you're able to straighten them, try to reach through your toes a little bit. Inhalation, reaching, low back is grounded, lower belly pressing. Inhale, reaching. Second to last one, keep the eyes on the ceiling, gaze steady. Exhale, lift. Last time, inhale, lower to your edge and stop. Breathing for 3, keep your face relaxed. 2, low back pressing earth, last inhale. And as you exhale, lift your legs back up. Bend your knees, reach around and hug. Drop your feet to the floor so your big toes are touching. Let your knees fall open to the sides. Supine, bowed angle. Turn your palms open like you're in Shavasana and breathe as much as you can into your lower belly and the front of your hips. Better still, try to breathe out to your knees. So every inhalation creates this gentle stretch and every exhale melting and releasing into the earth. Bring the fingertips to the base of your skull. Keeping the legs in the position they are currently, but try to let the legs remain heavy and relaxed. If this is a bit much on the hips, push your feet further away to lessen the stretch on the groins. On an inhale, we'll lift our head and our shoulders off of the earth. On the exhalation, pulse a little bit higher, but stay lifted on the inhale as you release. Exhale, pulse. Inhale, hover. Good. Moving with your exhalations. So that's about 3. We're going to 9. Keep the eyes gazing softly into the distance. Last 2 and 1. Slowly lower down, drop your arms open, breathe into the front of the belly, breathe into the inner thighs. Sliding your hands underneath your knees, close them up like a book. Bring the 2 knees in toward your chest, reach around your shins, give yourself a hug, and then take a quick glance around, above and beside you. We want to make sure we have enough space to extend the arms overhead and circle sweep along both sides of the body without knocking into anything. And once you've made sure that you've moved any blocks, props, whatever it may be, out of the way, with the legs overhead, we're going to cross right ankle over left. Now, once you cross your ankles, push strongly through your inner heels, working to not only straighten the legs, but to help anchor you in space, using the energy of the feet lifting into the sky. Stretch both of your arms up overhead. Palms of the hands face the ceiling. Inhale. Exhale, lifting the upper body. Row your arms by your sides. Gaze toward your knees. Inhale, arms straight up toward the ceiling, overhead. Exhale, row and lift. Moving slowly. Inhalation, vertebra by vertebra. Drop yourself down into your back. Exhalation, rising up. Shoulders lift away from the earth. Vertebra by vertebra, release on the inhale. Vertebra by vertebra, rise. Keeping the face soft, keep pushing through those heels. 4 more after this cycle. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, row. Inner thighs hugging. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, lift. Last 2. Inhale. Exhale. Last 1. Slow movement. Rise up and release down. Bend both of your knees. Give yourself a little squeeze. And crossing in the opposite direction, left ankle over right. Go ahead and bring your hands by your face into fists, elbows cinched in close to center line. Inhale, head and shoulders lift off of the floor. Exhale, pass your right arm beside your left thigh, twisting your belly. Come back to center with your inhalation, twisting in the opposite direction, slide the elbow past the leg. Inhale, center, exhale, right. Center up on the inhale, try to stay lifted, exhale, left. With your breath, side to side, go slowly. So you're sticking with us for about our 3rd round. Straightening the legs more and more to keep you anchored. Keeping the arm close to the thigh, sliding it past that leg as best you can. Keep your breath consistent. Last 3. Relaxing the face and neck. Let the back of the heart lift you. Last 2. Final 1. Right first, left second. Bend your knees in toward your chest. Reach around. Give yourself a hug. Deep breath. Good. So rocking up to sit. Grab onto your hamstrings. Inhale, rock back. Exhale, coming up to sit. Place your feet flat upon the floor, knees connected. Bring your hands underneath your hamstrings. Draw your shins up so that they hover parallel to the earth. In Navasana, boat posture. So if your low back is a little fragile for stage 1, just stay put, working here in boat, holding onto those hamstrings. Stage 2, bring the palms of the hands together at heart center and let your elbows lift a little to give you some clearance. Inhale, get taller. Exhale, twisting to the right, bring your left elbow outside of your right knee. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, opposite direction. Inhalation, center. Exhale, twisting, elbow beyond the knee. Exhale, twisting. Good. Try to keep your inner thighs gently hugging to bring the knees close. Move slow with your breath. Face is relaxed. Belly is turning you side to side. Good. Knees hugging knees. Crown lifting into the heavens. Last 4, slow rotations. You're doing great. Remember to smile at yourself when things start to shake and vibrate. Slow down. Last 2. Final 1, right side first, left side second. Good, come back to center, pull your knees in, hug, roll down to your spine. Dropping your feet to the floor, let your knees fall open sideways. Hands open out to the side as well. Breathing as much as you can into your lower belly, into your hips. Okay, try to stretch out all that abdominal tissue, filling your belly up like a baby when it breathes. Deep expansion, inflate the abdomen, and then soften, passively sink. Hands beneath the knees, closing them up slowly like a book. Bring them in toward the chest, give yourself a hug. Vinyasa. Roll back to your shoulders with an inhale. As you roll forward, cross your ankles, step back over your feet to plank position. Either lift your hips up to dog or go through a flow. In particular here, back bend's gonna feel good to release the belly, but we'll get even more of that soon enough. So looking forward to the top of the mat, step or lightly hop your way there. Once you've arrived, lengthen your spine, fold down head to knees. All the way up we go, sweeping the arms into the sky above. Exhale, releasing. You're opening your feet to hip width. Right hand to the lower belly. Left hand once more to the sacrum. So give your knees a little bend as you sink in your hips. Right hand and up. Left hand tucking under, and then push down through your feet to straighten the legs. Take a breath into your sacrum at the base of your spine. Step your feet back together, but do your best to maintain this alignment. Arms by your sides. Eyes gazing over the horizon as we prepare for Chandra Namaskar, moon salutations. We're going to stretch the whole front body back out. On our next inhalation, sweeping the arms up into the sky overhead, gaze back a little, find a touch of a back bend, and then fold forward, head to knees. Now we're going to lengthen as we fill with the inhale. Exhale, right leg to the back of the mat, drop your knee on the floor, pointing the toes away. So for stage one, bring your hands to your left thigh, lifting the torso. In stage two, if the lower belly stays active, arms lift overhead into monkey pose. Working with the modification that pleases you, hands down, stepping back into your flow, either modified through knees, chest, chin, or straight as a board. Cobra for the back bend, or upward dog, whatever feels best. Downward facing. Now we're only here for one breath. And the inhale that follows lifts the right leg up into the sky. Exhale, step. Drop your left knee down onto the floor, point the toes away. Stage one, hands to knee, drawing the torso tall. Stage two, arms extending into the sky, finding whatever back bend feels appropriate. Forward fold, step up to the top of the mat. Rising on an inhale, maybe a little back bend at the top. Arms by your sides. Good. Left side, inhale, lift it up. Folding forward, head to knees. Lift halfway. Exhale, left leg back. Drop the knee. Rising on your inhalation. Hands down as you step back into your flow. Moving with breath. Being certain that your breath and your breath alone guides you. So as you inhale in downward dog, left leg lifts way up into the sky. Step. Exhale. Back knee on the floor, pointing the toes away. While you lift, reach back through the big toe of your right foot, and then exhaling, forward fold, step on up to the top of the mat. Anahata Asana, standing back bend, lift your arms into the sky, equal standing arms back by your sides. Smiling faces, lift up, inhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Halfway up, inhale. Right leg as far back as it'll go, drop the knee. Lifting out of the front belly, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, hands down as you step into your flow, whichever one pleases you most. Nice bendy opening through the front body. We inhale, lifting right leg. Exhale, step between the hands, back knee down. Draw the inner thighs up into the hips to give you stability. And then with an exhale, forward folding step to the top of the mat. Rising up, legs strong, thighs back. Equal standing. Left now, inhale. Long spine folds, feel that release through your hips and back. Halfway up, inhaling, left leg. Reach back through the toes as you lift your heart up into the heavens. Hands down to your vinyasa, elbows close. Pull the heart forward as your toes reach away. Downward facing, long inhale, left leg rises. Long exhale, step up. You draw the front of the belly away from your left thigh. Hands down, step the feet to the top of the mat as you fold. Riding the inhalation into the heavens. Equal standing. Take a breath. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, fold. Halfway, long spine, right leg step. And let your eyes walk along the wall and then the ceiling. Hands down, shoulder width as your left foot steps back to flow. Keeping the index finger knuckles planted, draw the shoulders to the spine. Over the toes you go for the right leg to brush the sky. Step. Back knee down. Deep breath lifts our heart open. Forward fold at the top of the mat. And rising all the way up, gaze up, maybe back. Arms by your sides. Left now, inhale. Uttanasana, forward fold. Halfway up, long spine. Left leg back to kneel. Push through the 2 feet, mindful of your foundation. Step back to flow. Deep breath into the tops of your lungs. Over the toes. Left leg lifting, inhale. Step. Anjaneyasana, lift yourself up high. Uttanasana, forward fold. Ride your breath up into the sky. Equal standing, arms by your sides. That was 3 rounds. We're gonna do 2 more. So ride with that inhale, lift up high. Uttanasana, head to knees. Halfway, long spine, right leg to the back mat. Inhaling, the front body lengthening. Exhaling into your flow, nice and slow. Breath initiating every movement. So this means the breath starts and then the pose follows. Inhale, right leg, step. As you start to fill, rise. As you start to empty, fold, top of the mat. Inhalation draws us up tall. Equal standing. Keep the face relaxed, left side. So now the pattern of the flow is really starting to sink into the body. Now we start to feel that heat generate. And left leg kneeling as you rise, lift up. Exhale, right foot steps back, pushing through your 2 heels equally, so the legs help as you lower. Filling with the breath, lift the left leg high, exhale, step. Dropping the back knee, slow breath to rise, standing forward fold. Keep your toes soft as you propel yourself up with the inhale, equal standing. Last time, both sides. Follow the breath. The inhale leads you up. Exhale takes you down. Long spine, breathe in the spaces between, right foot to the back mat. Anjaneya, shoulders sinking into the hips. Chaturanga, elbows close. Inhalation, inner thighs twisting to the ceiling. Roll those toes, and then right leg lifts as you fill. Step up. Roof of your mouth relaxed, bringing yourself to the top for your forward fold. All the way up we go, stretching into the sky. Last side, follow the breath. So halfway up, inhale, left leg, step to the back. Reach all those toes of the left foot to the back wall, and then stepping the right foot back as it tucks, lower. Heart open fully, neck long, downward facing. Left leg, inhale to the sky, exhale, step. Last time in monkey, and then hands down, step up to the top to fold. Rising up nice and tall, equal standing, remain still. Check back in with your breath. So if it's become a little erratic, smooth the breath out by lengthening your exhales. Good. We'll try it. Lifting up with the inhale, arms stretch high. Folding forward, head to knees. Draw the spine long, open your heart fully, and then step or hop your way back to move through your flow. You drop down onto your knees, and then lower your hips to your heels, lowering your forehead and elbows in child's pose. So please adjust the positioning of your knees to accommodate your knees and your hips. Remember all the modifications for child's pose. You can keep your hips lifted in puppy. You can have a pillow underneath your hips, or a pillow underneath your torso and a block beneath your hips. Now thoughtfully release the elbows and the forehead into the mat so your shoulders and your neck can soften. Then draw your attention to the top of your thighs where they meet your hips. Okay, this crease that's folded over, take a deep breath into it, and then try to soften as you exhale, releasing any muscular effort. Your back body rises as you fill, falls as you empty. Now we're going to be practicing a heart opener variation of puppy, but we have to be very careful about the shoulders, in particular if they're quite tight in this position. So certainly a good idea to be in a place where you can glance up to the screen just to check your positioning relative to how we set up Amber. So first we will shift into a tabletop position. Now this is going to be an overlong posture, so if your fingertips are already at the top of the mat, go ahead and scoot back so the tips of your toes are closer to the back edge. Now from tabletop position, with the hips directly atop the knees and the shoulders directly atop the wrists, we will widen our stance 12 inches. So walk the right hand forward and then the left so you really feel overstretched. Okay, if your toes are not tucked, go ahead and do so. And that's going to help you to anchor back into your hips. So stage one, dropping the eyes to the earth here. We're going to bend the elbows out sideways. Once the elbows are bent out sideways, turn them toward the earth and then gently straighten the arms once more. This is going to help us to keep the shoulders broad. Eyes down, pulling the hips away until you feel some stretching in your shoulders. Now, if you happen to be more open than this, keeping the shoulders wide across the back and the arm bones plugging into the hips, you may be able to drop your forehead to the floor. Breathe through your upper body. Breathe through the stretch through the anterior portion of your ribs. Some of you might be open enough in this posture. Instead of the forehead resting on the floor, you may find it feels kind of nice to stretch your chin or throat forward to really get that fullest expansion through the heart. Upper back breathing, chest as well. For 3, really exaggerate the expansion of your inhales. Slowly begin shifting forward with an inhalation. Step the hands back to tabletop position. Drop your hips to heels as you point the feet. Forehead to the mat in child's pose. 2 breaths. Vinyasa. Rolling forward through your table. Tuck your toes, straighten the legs. Plank position. Either lift your hips or lower into your flow. Alright, so we are going to come all the way down onto our bellies. So shifting through plank position, you can drop knees, chest, chin, or straight as a board, release. Okay, scooting back as you need, so your forehead will be on your mat. Draw your hands down. So the thumbs are right in line with the center of the chest. The tips of your fingers are in line with the top edge of your shoulder. You're bringing the 2 legs together. We'll first begin with our strength-focused cobra. Push through the tops of your feet powerfully. With an inhale, begin to lift through the back body using the strength of your spine. You really minimize the effort of the arms. Okay, really, in this position, the only thing the arms should really be focusing on is guiding the shoulders to the spine and down into the hips. Okay, that movement of the arm bones back will help you to propel your spine forward, reaching the heart out to the top of the mat for 3. 2, use an inhale, lift to your peak. Exhale, lowering your left ear to the floor. Drop your arms by your sides, palms face the sky. Breathing into your upper back, middle back, and lower back. Remember that the pressure of the earth against your belly might cause you to shorten your breath a little. So really develop those inhalations. Now more of our bendy style cobra. For this one, we're gonna want our feet open the width of our hips, as this will help us to take pressure off of the sacrum and the low back. Draw your hands back into the same position they just were. Tips of the fingers in line with the top of your shoulder, thumbs beneath the chest. Anchor down this time through your hips, grounding the pelvis fully, and then inhale, roll your shoulders down your back, begin lifting your spine, stage 1 initially. Stage 2, if your low back feels agreeable, start to push through your palms, adding in that action of the arms. Feel the triceps working and the exaggerated back bend in your low spine. Breathing through your kidneys as the heart draws forward. Softening the face as you gaze into the heavens. Let the hips sink and your heart rise. For one more inhale, lowering to your right ear. Drop your arms by your sides, but go ahead and bring your big toes back to touch one another, letting the heels fall away. Okay, this exaggerates the internal rotation of the legs, which will help to release your low back. So since I mentioned your low back, you might as well breathe into it a little more. Sarpasana starts just like cobra, legs together, heels and big toes touching, pushing down through the tops of the feet. But as you do so, try to fan out your toes like a fishtail. Maybe one day you can click every toenail onto the floor while still having your heels touch. Arms behind you, interlace your fingers. Notice what thumb and what index finger are uppermost. Inhale, lift your spine and your spine only. As you draw the upper body away from the earth, the feet are still grounding down, and you should feel some stretching through the anterior shoulder. Notice how you're breathing, that quality movement. As long as you're maintaining that good equilibrium between your inhale and exhale, next 5 breaths, legs will lift as well, bringing us into locust posture. With the legs lifting, focus more on keeping the knees straight than how high you necessarily lift them off the floor. Last 3. Stretch yourself long from toes to brow. Last inhale and releasing. So left ear down, drop your arms, your legs, and try to be sure that it is the outer edge of your ear that rests upon the mat. This will help to give a gentle release for your neck. Soften your jaw, unclench your teeth, and then breathe into the back as much as you can. One more floor back bend, and that'll be bow, Dhanurasa. So in bow posture, we're going to be bending the knees, reaching back and grabbing for the ankles. Now, if you cannot grab your ankles today, then I'll ask you to do the last posture, locust, just one more time. Once you caught a hold of your ankles, try to bring the big toes a little bit closer. Drop your hips heavily to the floor, and with an inhale, kick back through your feet, lifting your 10 toes into the sky as the knees and thighs move away from the earth, as the ribs and maybe even one day your belly begin to draw away from the floor. Eyes are climbing up into the heavens as you breathe for 3. Stretching yourself up to touch the sky for 2. Use your last inhale, really ride that breath and release. Dropping to the opposite ear, big toes touch, palms face the ceiling. Breathe into your back, feeling the after effect of the backbend series. And backbends in general tend to be stimulating. So it's not uncommon to notice that the heart's beating a little faster, that the breath might be a little shorter. Stretch your out breath out and let the inhale that follows grow bigger. Draw your hands up beneath your shoulders with an inhale. Exhale, push back through child's pose, and then straighten your legs to downward facing dog. All right, so from this downward facing dog, we'll drift through one vinyasa, shifting into plank position. Inhale. Exhale, lowering with control, elbows close. Cobra or up dog, draw the heart open. Over your 10 toes, downward facing dog. And go ahead and drop right down onto your knees, walking the hands back to stand tall upon your thighs for Ustrasana, camel posture. So if you're going to be utilizing blocks, go ahead and set those blocks outside of your ankles in their highest position, nice tall setting. Okay, if you're going to be utilizing your chair, you can just go ahead and scoot that up closer to the back of your mat. Now in Ustrasana, facing forwards, you'd be able to see yourself, if you had a mirror, ideally set so that your knees are the width of your hips. We don't want them wider or narrower in this case. Now by tucking your toes underneath, this will tend to be a little easier on your low back. So if you're not grabbing for your heels or your blocks confidently yet, keep those toes tucked under, especially if you're going to be using the modification with the chair. As we root, knees down into earth, we'll place our hands on our sacrum. So remember that pelvic tilt, we're going to drop the tailbone down and bring the lower belly in and up. Okay, maintaining that gentle pressure on your sacrum down toward the earth. Inhale, lift the heart and the eyes up toward the ceiling. You're welcome to stay put right where you are. Remember, you're working at your intelligent edge. But if there's space that allows you to walk your eyes along the ceiling and back, you may be able to reach one hand at a time for your chair or your blocks, maybe one day eventually grasping for heels. Now the general energetic direction of this posture is the heart is lifting while the hips push forward. Last 3. You're breathing fully through the whole of your rib cage for 2. And we stay till the exhale. Hands to hips, inhale, rise on up. Point your toes away, sit down on your heels, child's pose. So as earlier, make sure that you're dropping your forehead and your elbows down into the mat completely. Okay, we want to be sure that the whole of our upper body can relax 100%. 2 more breath cycles. If there's anything left that you can let go of, this is the time. And now we'll roll into our next counterposing segment. Shifting directions to hip openers. Drifting forward in tabletop position, inhale. Tuck your toes, lift your hips up into the sky, downward dog. Stay put for 4 breaths, or take it through your vinyasa. Rising with an inhalation through plank, and then exhalation lowering. Good cobra or upward dog, savor that opening through the chest. Downward facing, over the toes you go. So we'll come to sit, looking forward. Step or lightly hop to land on your hips, stretching both legs straight out in front of you. And then transitioning into Ardha Matsyendrasana. So for half king of fishes, step the right foot over top of your left leg with the ankle just behind your knee. Okay, for the modified form of the pose, just keep your left leg straight with the foot flexed. That leg will help to anchor you, especially if the hips are tight. Okay, if the hips are open enough and you find this twist comes naturally, go ahead and swing your left leg beside you so the heel is next to your hip but not underneath it. Now with this particular twist, we want to get a sense that we're going to be grounding down through the center of our hips. So stand the inner edge of your right foot onto the mat as your inner thigh drops down. Likewise, try to feel the inner thigh of the left leg, the groins, planting into the earth. Right hand behind you. Left elbow hugs the knee initially as we get tall, and then exhale, twisting. And if the twist comes easily, you may be able to bring the elbow outside of the thigh, bringing your forearm into a vertical stop sign position. And by shifting the elbow down toward the earth, it'll help us to keep that shoulder blade likewise planted into the waist. Where's your breath? The most of every inhale, spreading out in every direction, so that when the exhale follows, you may find some space to turn just a little further. Last 3. Keep your face relaxed. Last exhale, and returning to center. So we're going to try to seamlessly drop into thread the needle. Keep your right foot outside of your left knee and just fall down onto your back. Bring the left knee in toward your shoulder as the right arm reaches between your legs, interlacing the fingers around the hamstrings initially, the shin bone eventually. Okay, if this is a difficult posture for you and you have a strap at home, you can always loop the strap around your hamstrings and thread it through just to make your arms a little bit longer. So with the feet flexed, that'll be both of them. Start to pull your left knee in gently towards the left shoulder. Keep your shoulders and your hips melting into the floor simultaneously. The back of the neck stay long, and the eyes gazing directly upwards, not overhead. If you're looking overhead, your chin might be lifting a bit too much. So back off with the hip stretch and try to bring the chin back to neutral. 3 more exhalations. Relax the roof of your mouth as you go. One more out breath, pull in just a little bit closer. And then backing off, uncross the legs, shins side by side, hug in. Okay, and we'll just do a simple transition back to seated. Inhale, kick your legs slightly, rock up. Exhale, legs straight out before you. Good, so left leg now, stepping over top, ankle just behind the knee. Keeping the right leg straight for your hips, or if you've got the space, bend that knee, sweep the heel beside you. Plant down through the inner thighs, anchoring your groins into the earth, beginning to twist to the left, turn from your belly first. Let your ribs follow, and then finally shifting your gaze to the back wall. The eyes should always remain on the horizon, neither looking up nor down, as by keeping your eyes on an even horizon, it will help to keep your spine neutral. Let the crown ascend, lifting into the sky every time you fill with your breath. And imagine that your left hip were moving down and forward toward the top edge of your mat. 3 more exhalations. Don't use the arms to force you into the pose. Turn with your tummy. 1 more exhale. Inhale back to center, dropping gracefully onto your back. Keep the legs crossed as they are. You may need to create a little space as you thread your left arm between the legs. Interlace your fingers around right hamstrings or shin. Remember, flex the feet. So you're going to pull your pinky toe back towards its respective knee. This is going to help to keep your knees safe as we go. Slowly pull in right knee to right shoulder. So if the hips are really tight, your hips are going to start lifting off of the floor a little bit. Okay, if you do have difficulty keeping them on the mat, don't worry about it too much, but try to keep in the background of your mind somewhere this idea that you're sinking the pelvis into the earth as much as you're pulling the knee in. Last 3. Last exhale. Undo the cross of the legs, knees side by side, but this time we're going to go through a full vinyasa. So cross your left ankle over your right. Catch your hamstrings. Inhale, rock back to shoulders. Exhale, over your feet to step or hop your way back, moving through your flow, or to downward dog. King of pigeons. Drawing the right leg up into the sky, bend your right knee as you roll your hips open. Exhale, sweep that knee up behind your right wrist. And once you align your right knee with your right wrist, begin to wiggle your left leg back further and further. Now we want to be thoughtful here that the knee is just a little bit outside of our hip line, and the right shin is about a 45-degree angle. Now if you're feeling discomfort in your right knee, flip onto your back and practice the last pose again. Thread the needle. This will be a much safer modification. 1 more breath upright. So push down through your hands, lift your heart up high. As you exhale, hyper mindful of your right knee, you can walk your hands forward, drop down to elbows. You can stack up your hands to make a pillow. You can use your block beneath your forehead as well. If the hip is tight, but the knee is okay in this position, you can also place a block beneath the right hip to lift your hips off of the floor slightly, which will help you to find perhaps a more intelligent edge for your practice this evening. Once you've arrived at that perfect pose, thoughtfully check in with the position of your hips. Okay, the two hips should be in an even horizon. So you should be able to balance like a teacup on your sacrum. Okay, if you're rolling to one side or the other, find that center point so that you can really work to stretch open both of the hips more equally. As you come to the end of your exhale, bring your hands beneath your shoulders. Rounding your spine up slowly, we're going to drop into the right hip facing the side of our mat. Drop your right hip. Turn the left foot so it points into the sky. Pull your right heel all the way in toward the groins. So revolving head to knee pose. Just let your left elbow rest lightly on your thigh, and then inhale, sweep your right arm straight up into the sky overhead. Exhale, turn the armpit toward the chest, palm of the hand facing floor, and you can slide your left elbow a little further away. You may be able to drop your left elbow down onto the floor just inside your leg. But key here is that you should still be able to look toward the ceiling underneath your right arm. If your arm is getting in the way or you're looking over top of your arm, then you've actually lost the rotation that's going to help us to stretch the side body. So lift yourself up a little higher instead. You really breathe into your belly and into the sides of the ribs. Last 3, right hip anchoring. 2. As you exhale, look down. As you inhale, sweep that right arm back to pull you up to center. Grab your right hip and turn to face the back of your mat for head to knee pose. So now we're closing up to about a 90-degree angle. Okay, the right hip is rolling forward enough for your right thigh bone to be about parallel to the top of your mat. Stretch the arms overhead. Folding forward, find your foot, ankle, belt, or knee. If the hip is tight, you can always bend your left leg a little. Long spine, melting. Heart reaching forward. With every breath, you're stretching the center of your ribs, that core right in the center of the body out toward your big toes. And as your heart continues to pull forward, try to imagine you can pull your hips back. Last exhalation. As you inhale, rise up, arms overhead, releasing your arms, kick your right leg straight. Vinyasa, cross your shins, roll over your feet, step or bounce back. Yes, you are probably facing the back of your mat. Don't worry, we'll get back to the front edge soon enough. Once you've completed your vinyasa, finding yourself back in downward facing dog, we'll draw left leg up into the sky. Inhale, bend the knees, you roll your hips open. Exhale, left knee behind left wrist. So you land on the outside of your left shin bone. The foot is pointed. Okay, that shin bone is about 45 degrees relative to your mat. And as we remain upright for these first few breaths, push the shoulders back, hugging them against the spine to help you stretch the front of your right hip. Okay, no clenching the glutes. Try to soften the back of your hips for one more inhale. And then begin to fold forward. You find that intelligent edge, creating a support for your head, and then breathing diligently through your hips. Every inhalation should feel as though it's beginning within your hip sockets and working its way up toward the heart. With every exhale, the breath then cascades back down, and maybe the hips are inclined to drop a little bit deeper. Explore the posture with your awareness through the medium of your breath. Last exhalation, and as that breath ends, start to walk your hands in, rounding the spine up. Drop into your left hip, and again, turn to face the side of your mat. So we'll twist the right leg so the center of the knee and the toes point straight up into the sky. Left heel pulls in nice and close toward the hips. Dropping the right elbow onto the thigh, inhale, lift your left arm straight up into the sky. Exhale, turn so the palm faces earth, shoulder sinks into waist. Okay, the right arm, the one that's underneath, is welcome to drop down to the floor inside of your leg. And if it does, gently hug those two limbs together to help you twist your right body underneath a little bit more. And for some of us, the left hip may feel as though it's lifting off of the floor. Maybe not. But for all of us, if we imagine we can sit our left hip down a little deeper, chances are you're going to get a better stretch. 2 more breaths. And this can be pretty broad, pretty intense in the low back, so really develop those inhalations. Eyes down with the exhale, left arm pulls you up. Grab your left hip, swing it to face the front of the mat so you're back at 90 degrees. So hips press down to help you propel your arms overhead with the inhale. Find your foot, ankle, belt. Re-lengthen your spine as you fill, and then let yourself settle blissfully in Janu Shirshasana, head to knee pose. So at the start, gravity is enough, just letting the upper body fall. In time, a gentle motivation forward by hollowing out your lower belly, as if you could push your belly button into your heart and push your heart forward into your toes. Last exhalation. Inhale, rise on up, arms stretch to sky. Release your arms, kick your legs straight. Second to last vinyasa. Cross your shins, roll over your feet, step or bounce back. Lowering with control, elbows close. Inhale, cobra or up dog, toes away from heart. Exhale, downward facing. One more time to sit. Step or lightly hop, land on your hips. Bending both your knees in toward your chest, drop them out wide for Baddha Konasana. So you can start to wiggle your hips in closer to your heels, but remember that marker. Knees should be navel height or lower. If your knees are getting too high, then the feet actually have to go further away instead. Option 1, interlace your fingers around your feet. Option 2, thread your fingers into the webbing between your toes, starting from the little toe first. Drawing back, pull your elbows in close to the ribs and back toward the wall behind you. Then with an exhale, drop your eyes and begin to hinge forward. Let your gaze rest upon the earth just about 4 inches in front of your feet, helping to keep that lengthening of the spine forward. And with heel pressing heel, reach your right knee out to the right wall, your left knee out to the left wall. Your body is trying to tell you something. That's what all those sensations, all those feelings beneath the surface are. So listen, be objective, try to really understand what it is that the body's telling you without your mind or your ego muddying the waters. Last exhalation, dive into it, and then round your spine up, vertebra by vertebra. Hands outside the knees, close them up. Reach around your shins, and as you hug in close, lift your feet just a millimeter off of the floor. Soften your hip creases. Last vinyasa. Crossing the shins, step or hop your way back, lowering with control. Upward facing or cobra, inhale. Downward facing over your toes, exhale. Looking up between your hands, step or lightly hop your way to sits. And then rolling down onto the spine, hug those knees in close. All right, so just a gentle twisting to finalize. So with the knees set close together, we're gonna find our gentlest variation. Okay, the next step to dial up a level is to cross your right thigh over your left as if in eagle posture. But now there is another factor here. If your knees are right in line with your hips, this will be a less intense stretch. If your knees, on the other hand, get higher towards your elbows, this will help to deepen and intensify the opening. So open your arms out at shoulder height, palms of the hands facing the ceiling. Lengthen your spine first, and then with an exhale, go ahead and drop your knees off to the left side of your mat. But if you crossed your legs, lift your hips and swing your left hip just 1 inch underneath to better get the sitting bones stacked up. You look out over your right thumb, and then breathe from the start at your right hip, and at the peak of the breath, your shoulders. So the inhalation's rising up the back body, exhalation's sinking back down. But as far as the pose is concerned, try to be as passive as possible. Just a couple more breathings. Keep the jaw soft. Now with your exhale, bring your head to center. Inhale, lift your knees. Undo the cross of the legs as you reach around and give yourself a hug. Swing your hips back into center, especially if we made that little adjustment. Now left thigh over top. If you are crossing the legs, arms stretch out wide. And letting the knees fall off to the right side this time. And then as before, if you need to, lift the hips and roll the right hip just 1 inch underneath. The chin falls left as you gaze out over your left palm. Taking the breath up the spine on the inhale and down the spine on the exhale. You're really savoring that wave-like movement that rises and falls. As the exhalation dissipates each time, imagine that it takes with it any tension, any restriction, any resistance. Each and every breath lets you melt a little bit more. As we come to the conclusion of an exhale, the head returns. As you inhale, lift your knees, uncrossing the legs. One last time, hugging close. Shavasana, corpse posture. You're going to stretch yourself out long, opening the feet just slightly wider than your hips, letting the toes then fall away from center. Turning the palms of the hands to face the ceiling so the chest will open, and then maybe tucking the shoulder blades down into the hips by 1/2 inch or so, helping to release a little bit more through the low neck. Now drop your chin in just slightly toward your chest. Unclench your teeth. Let the roof of the mouth soften away. Now with the eyes softly shut, we'll start to spread the attention out as wide as possible through the body. Okay, getting that awareness as global as you can. So feeling any sensations that are present. Okay, these come in all different kinds. Okay, the sensation of the earth beneath you, the temperature in the room, the sensation of your heart beating in your chest, the rise and fall of your breath. You may feel some muscular activity, trembling, tingling, itching, tickling, expansion, contraction. But this is only one sense door. So also be conscious of the eyes, perception of sight. In this case, with your eyes closed, that would just be that blackness that you perceive. The ears, perception, hearing, noticing the sounds in the room, the sound of my voice, the sense of smell, any odor, sense of taste, saliva in the mouth. Once you've taken a full accounting of all of your sense perceptions, start to then focus in on one single point, observing the breath as it rises and falls. Now, our attention is always the limitation to this practice. We may be able to observe and inhale before some distraction bubbles up to the surface. But the moment we remember that we've forgotten, we come back, check back in with the breath. And then, of course, that next inevitable distraction arises, whether it be from our senses or from the mind itself. So for tonight's practice of Shavasana, as important as it is to guide yourself back to your breath, to start over and to check back in, let's also try to make note of those things that draw us away. Was it a sound or a feeling? Was it an image or an idea? And after that momentary acknowledgement, smiling inside, come back, breath after breath. Beginning first with the deepening of your inhalations. As the breath grows, notice the change that occurs, that connection between your body and your mind. Wiggle your fingers and your toes, bring a little more life into your arms, your legs. And then when you feel as though you've got control again, stretching the arms out overhead, reaching through your toes, inhale long, and with your exhale, bend those knees in and give yourself a hug. And rolling on to your left side, use the strength of your arms, again push your way up into a comfortable seated posture. So bringing your hands together at heart center, letting the eyes softly shut, the chin to drop forward, and your gaze to draw back inwardly. You're looking at yourself in the most honest, authentic way. And taking this moment, this opportunity that you have to thank yourself, feeling grateful for your practice, for all the effort that you bring to your mat day after day. And then, of course, reaching that gratitude outwardly to your friends, family members, fellow students, wherever they may be, feeling grateful for their presence in your life and their support. As always, we are honored that you would share your practices with us. Namaste.